Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
To you at 13 to 8 and catching up for our regular spot this morning. Good morning to Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Matt Dickerson. How are you, Matt?
I'm very good, thank you, Ian. How are you going?
I'm really well. I think you're on a bit of a high because you're currently in Sydney because the Tourism Awards were held last night. You might have some good news, do you?
The New South Wales Tourism Awards were held last night, and this is the first time they've been held en masse for the last 2 years, obviously with COVID restrictions in place for the last couple of years. So we're at Luna Park last night, 450 people in the big top at Luna Park, and exciting news on a couple of fronts. Old Dubbo Jail was a finalist in the Cultural Tourism Award, and the Old Dubbo Jail won a silver award for that. So that was very exciting for the team there. 3 of our staff were there for that and myself, so very exciting there. But the other exciting news, of course, was the Taronga Western Plains Zoo. They seem to pick up awards all over the place, and last night they picked up 2 awards. One for major tourist attraction, a gold award in that category, and then another one for unique accommodation. Again, they won a gold award for that. So that was very exciting. The Minister for a whole range of things, including tourism, Ben Franklin, was there. So Ben was good enough to come along and have his photo taken with our team there last night. So very exciting night. But also there was a real buzz in the room, not just about tourism in general, but about the fact that tourism was back, because obviously some operators have been doing it pretty tough over the last couple of years, but also there was a real regional flavour. So there were many awards won by Bathurst, Mudgee, areas in regional New South Wales around where we are. So there was a bit of a highlight there, and certainly when I was discussing it with the Minister, he was talking about that flavour around our area, about the number of times there were mentions, finalists, for example, and even some winners from out around our region. So that was a real buzz for the region.
It's really great to have the spot. This will really shine the spotlight on Dubbo, won't it? And of course, I think through COVID, it'd have to be a lot more people exploring their own backyard, and I think that's why they're getting out here. And you know, we were always noticed, but we're getting noticed more.
You're absolutely right. And during COVID, obviously international tourism was off, so some of those people who would have been going overseas for their holidays looked inland to discover different tourism areas. And of course, sometimes there were restrictions in place, which meant that people couldn't travel to our areas. So we heard a few hard luck stories last night about how tough some people in the tourism industry had been going during that whole lockdown and restriction process. But you're right, when people could travel internally in Australia but not externally, then they did look to some of these areas that we know so well out in Dubbo and even around our region. And we always look at it as the whole area. It's not just about Dubbo. It is, of course, about the region. So when people come and visit Wellington, or they visit Parkes, or they visit Mudgee, or they visit Orange, we see all those as small victories for the region, and it is very much that collaborative approach. We like to see the region doing well. So even sitting at our table last night, there were some people from Bathurst, and they won some silver awards as well. So again, we just like to see that success around the entire region. I don't think it's about Dubbo versus anywhere else in the region. It's about the whole region being together.
I think too, you know, we've got some great attractions regionally, but also locally. When you mentioned the jail, Taronga Western Plains, the Wellington Caves, maybe we take that for granted sometimes, and it takes the fresh eyes from out to come in and say, wow, this is really amazing.
I think you're spot on. I think we do take it for granted. I mean, the zoo, for one example, sometimes people look at other events that might happen in other areas, and they say to council, for example, why don't we have that great event like some other areas got? And I talk to mayors and councils from other regions, and they say, we wish we had something like the zoo. The zoo's fantastic for you, because an event can draw people for a week or maybe 2 weeks throughout the year. One of the things that people forget about the zoo is that it draws over 300,000 people to Dubbo every year. On average, and of course it doesn't work out quite like this, but on average you've got 1,000 people a day in Dubbo to visit the zoo. Now, our challenge as a council and as a community is to take advantage of those 1,000 people that come each and every day and say, how can we keep them there a bit longer? So, for example, Old Dubbo Jail, getting them to visit there and spend some time there. We've got the Royal Flying Doctor Visitor Experience Centre. We've got the Wellington Caves. So we've got different things in the area that can keep them there. So we basically get 1,000 people a day dropped on our lap, How do we take advantage of them? How do we keep them there for longer? And every day that we keep them there longer, every time we get people to stay overnight, we know that approximately $200 per person per night drops into our economy. So that's the real challenge for council. We've got the zoo, we've got that gift horse, we've got to make sure we take advantage of it.
Matt, as you say, look, it has to be great for business. Talking about attractions, the Sure UN Garden there is celebrating a milestone.
Absolutely right. 20th anniversary this weekend. And that is just another one of those things. And I deliberately excluded that from one of those things because I knew you were going to bring up that celebration that we're having there. But that whole Elizabeth Park area there, Ian, is a fantastic spot. Now, that was a vision, that was a master plan that happened or started way before I was even on council. In the late 90s, Ken Rogers was the director, and then you had both Alan Smith and Greg Matthews as the mayors of the day that oversaw that whole introduction of that first part of the master plan for Elizabeth Park. Now, the great thing about a master plan is you start off with a master plan, you have a vision, and over the years that can change and develop further. So there have been 2 subsequent master plans for that area. But what we've got now with the adventure playground, with the sensory garden, and with the Wiradjuri Cultural Tourism Centre that hasn't started construction yet, but we've been given money from the state government. In fact, I mentioned that to Ben Franklin last night. The last time he was in Dubbo, he gave us $5 million. I told him he was welcome to come to Dubbo anytime he wanted, as long as he brought that $5 million cheque each time with him. But that whole Wiradjuri Cultural Tourism Centre will be a fantastic addition. But this weekend, it's a celebration of the Japanese gardens. Now, our sister city in Japan, Minakamo, has been largely responsible for what we've got there in our Japanese gardens, and in conjunction with our staff and our team as well. But they built that Japanese tea house in Minakamo, then deconstructed it, put it in containers, sent it over to Dubbo at their expense, sent some of their staff over, and then built that Japanese tea house, which many people say is the most authentic tea house in the entire nation because it was built in Japan by Japanese experts. The whole gardens as well, again, didn't happen during COVID, but typically they send over their gardeners each year just to keep an eye on that garden to make sure it's being maintained correctly. They teach our staff, they educate our staff on how that should be maintained. So this weekend, that 20th anniversary celebration is a really significant thing.
Are you aware of some of the activities going on up there on Sunday?
Absolutely. We've got some things that are happening on Saturday and Sunday. The biggest thing is the public part of that process where everyone's invited from 4:30 to 8:30 on Sunday afternoon at the Shoryun Gardens. We've got a range of activities and we're saying to the public, come along, please, and be part of that celebration. You won't be disappointed if you come along.
I believe that I know that the Sunday times are 4:30 p.m. through until 8:30 p.m. Have they got a way of lighting that up really nicely or something, have they?
Well, you've got to remember that 8:30 you're only just getting into the final sunset there, so you've got that lighting there, but we've got a range of activities there. We've got things that will be happening all throughout the day. We've got some official part. On Saturday night, for example, we've got an official ceremony, just a small ceremony with the delegation that is visiting from Japan. I'm going out to meet the plane tomorrow afternoon when some of the delegation comes in. The mayor was coming in, but unfortunately, there was a problem with the late application for his visa. So that's not happening now, and I'm disappointed about that. I've met the mayor before. He's been in Dubbo before. I've been in Minakamo before and talked to the mayor before. So it would have been nice to have caught up with him, but unfortunately, he's not coming. But that won't dampen the spirits. There'll be a great delegation. Will be very excited to be here as part of that celebration.
Certainly sounds like it'll be a great event there. A couple of minutes to go there. The November Community Leaders Breakfast is coming up.
Yeah, that's something that is unique across the nation. Nowhere else in the nation do you have a regular gathering in an open forum of your federal member, your state member and the local councillors. So that's happening not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday. That'll be down at the Rotunda, 7:30am to 9:30am down there. We'll have Mark Colton, our federal MP. We'll have Dougal Saunders, our state MP. And you'll have councillors there, myself as well, some of our senior staff. It's a great opportunity to talk about whatever area of government. And some people don't always understand which area of government they need to talk to. And that's where those community leaders forums are fantastic. I'm actually still in Sydney at the moment after last night, but we've got a country mayors meeting this morning. And I know I've talked to country mayors before and talked to some individual mayors about that, and they love the idea of getting those 3 levels of government together. They just sometimes, other councils, other areas, don't manage to get those 3 areas with the openness that we've got with the 3 representatives that we've got in our area. So it is actually a great thing. Doesn't happen anywhere else in Australia. Take advantage of it. You might even get a free sausage sandwich or a free bit of breakfast there while you come along, but don't come for the free breakfast. Come to talk to your 3 levels of government and find out exactly what you need to find out about.
Certainly a very valuable way to connect there. It's open to local residents, businesses and everybody, isn't it?
It's actually open to anyone at all, anyone that wants to come along, and we have some great conversations there. People come along with their ideas, people come along with their concerns, and as I say, the great thing about it is you can't palm people off. You can't say, that's not a council issue, that's a state government issue. Go away and talk to your state government rep, because in that scenario, the state government rep's 2 metres away. So you've got the 3 levels there. And one of the really interesting things that we've talked about in previous ones has been roads, and roads do receive funding from all 3 levels of government. So it is one of those classic areas that there's not just one level of government responsible, but at least people can understand exactly what level of government is responsible for their particular area of roads. And roads is obviously the number one issue that people seem to be talking to me about anyway.
As you say, they're a very unique opportunity there. That's tomorrow week at the Church Street Rotunda in Dubbo, Saturday the 26th from 7:30am and through until 9:30am. Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council Matthew Dickerson, thank you very much for your time this morning on 2 to You Breakfast.
Always my pleasure, Iain.
Thank you very much.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.